Hello, good morning. We will continue with lecture 8 today. Probably going to finish most of it. Depends if you guys have any questions or not. But we might need to, wrap it up next week. There's quite a bit of problem solving involved today, and it's okay if we don't 100% get it, and you want me to explain a little bit more. Just let me know. So we are doing what's called dihybrid cross today. Dihybrid cross means we are tracking two characteristics at the same time. Okay, we are looking at two things, two alleles at the same time. So last class, we were only looking at one thing, right? Like red flower, white flower. But today, we're going to look at two things at a time. And so here are two traits that we're going to look at. This is still Mendel's experiment. For the shape of the seed, it could be round or wrinkled, round being dominant. And for the color, it could be yellow or green, where yellow is dominant. Okay, so I'm gonna just copy this over to my note here. Okay? I mean, you don't have to draw it. You can just put pure round yellow and pure wrinkle green. Right? So in this case, pure round yellow means it is going to be big R, because it's pure means it's the same, and round is dominant, so that's why I use capital letter, and big Y. Okay. Cross means we're gonna create offsprings between these two individuals, and it's wrinkle and green. So wrinkle is the recessive trait, is the opposite of round. So we're going to use little r, and little y. Okay. So two traits, whether it's round or wrinkle, and whether it's yellow or green. Now, I am just going to go here on the side for a second. And I'm going to do a side note. And we're going to come back to that in a bit. Okay, side note. Gamete combination. Now, Mendel has two laws. The first one was the law of segregation, which we learned last time, right? Law of segregation means, even though you have two chromosomes, chromosome 1 from one of your parents, chromosome 1 from the other parent, when you produce gamete, you only pass one on, right? You either give this to your child or you give that to the child. That's the law of segregation. His second law is law of independent assortment. Independent assortment. Well, what does it mean? What that means is, I mean, like the definition is right there, but even after reading it, it can be a little bit confusing, right? So let's explain what the law of independent assortment means. It means, let's say you have two genes that we're keeping track on. So over here, let's say it's big A and this is small a. And let's say this is small b and big B. Again, these are randomly determined. It depends which sperm fertilized which egg when you were conceived, right? So the law of independent assortment states that whether you pass on the big A or the small a into the gamete has no effect on whether you pass on the big B or the small b. Meaning, if let's say this is the gamete. The gamete is gonna have the big A or the small a, right? So let's say by chance you got the big A. Just because you get the big A does not mean you are necessarily gonna get the big B. Okay, you can get the big B, you can get the small b, right? Like, we don't know. Okay, so it's like flipping a coin. You have a coin, I have a coin. I flip my coin and then I get a heads. Okay, that has no effect on whether you're gonna get a head or a tail, right? Like your coin is independent from my coin, right? What you get has no effect on what I get, vice versa. Same thing. Think of these as coins. Whether you get the big A or small a has no effect on whether you get the big B or the small b. That's the law of independent assortment. Okay, so let's practice. Let's say the person is AA BB, right? Like this. This is AA, heterozygous, heterozygous. How many different gametes can the person produce? How many different gametes can this person produce? So it's kind of like math, okay? Your big A can combine with big B. So that's one possible gamete. What's another possible gamete? What's another possible combination? Just type it out. Yes, big A and small b. Okay. I can have another possible combination, small a, big B. And lastly, small a, small b. Right? These are all the possible combinations, 4 different kinds of gametes. Okay, if the person is like this. So these are gametes, okay? Now let's try another one. What if the person is A, big B, small b? Okay. So big A, big B, that's one possibility. And these are gametes, okay? In case you're not sure. The other possibility is big A, small b. And then big A, big B, but we already wrote that down. We don't have to write it again. Big A, small b, we also have that already. Okay, so for this person, only 2 possible types of gametes if we are just looking at these 2 genes, right? Are we okay, everybody together on this? Okay, thank you. So let's go back to our question here. We started with a parent generation. Parent generation. And they are homozygous, they are pure for both of the genes. So let's write down the possible gametes. Okay. These are the genotype, by the way. Genotype is a genetic makeup. Okay. So what gamete is this plant going to produce? Well, it doesn't have much choice, right? It's just a big R and a big Y. That's it, right? Like, I mean, you can do the thing and you realize it's all the same. Right? Now, you know you are doing it wrong if you have the same letter in the gamete. Right? They have to be different. You cannot have 2 R's in the same gamete. The only time that happens is if there is a non-disjunction, right? We talked about non-disjunction last time. If the chromosome fails to separate during meiosis 1 or 2, then you have 2 of the same thing in the gamete. But normally, that is not going to happen, okay? So we're going to have a big Y, big R, big Y here. And for this one, small r, small y. I just put a bar here to separate the gametes. That's all. Okay. So the F1 generation. If this gamete and this gamete join together, then we're gonna get big R, big Y, small y. There are no other possible combinations. So this is 100% big R, big Y, small y. 100% round and yellow, right? Okay. Now I want to make a note here. This is important. Knowing this will help you with some of the questions. Okay, like I'm gonna put a star here. You see, it's 100% round and yellow, which looks like this parent, right? Okay. Where should I put it? Just right here. If the parents are pure, okay, for character is like, you know, round, wrinkle, yellow, green. Okay, that's the character. F1 generation will always exhibit the dominant trait. Okay. I am sorry, there's a lot of extra asterisks here. There are other words for pure. We know pure. Pure means is homozygous, right? Okay, but there are other words that you will see. You will see things like true breed, pure breed, true breeding, homozygous. They all mean the same thing. All right, just write that down first. I'll explain. I'll give you an example, and you will understand. Sometimes, you know, the written definitions is very meh. You read it and you're like, I understand every word, but I don't know what the sentence means. All right. Now I'm still gonna write some stuff here. So let's just go back to the side note here. I feel like I need more. Like in the classroom, I have multiple boards, so I can like randomly put stuff anywhere I like. But here, you just have to figure it out. Okay. So I am going to show you two true breed, purebred, homozygous. They all mean the same thing. Okay. We have some true breed dogs here. Okay. I mean, you don't really have to draw it, but just pay attention though. Okay. So this is the dog. Okay. This is the dog. Now this dog has fluffy hair. Okay, fluffy hair and a short tail. Okay. And then we have another dog here. This dog is not fluffy and it has a long tail. This looks more like a mouse. Anyway, it's a dog, okay? And then we're gonna breed them. Right? Remember, they're true breed, they're purebred. Okay? And then all the offspring looks like this. All the offspring looks like this. So this is fluffy plus short tail. This is, I guess, smooth. plus long tail. Okay, and in the end, after you breed them, you have fluffy plus long tail. So which trait is dominant? Is fluffy dominant or is smooth dominant? What do you think? Remember, these are P generation. This is F1. P generation is true breed. So if the F1 is fluffy and long tail, which one is dominant? Is fluffy dominant or is smooth dominant? Okay. Let's go back to what I wrote here. If the parents are pure true breed, pure breed for character, in this case, like fluffy or smooth, long tail or short tail, F1 generations will always exhibit the dominant trait. Okay, just like here, the parents are round yellow and wrinkle green, and since round is dominant over wrinkle and yellow is dominant over green, all of the F1 generation is going to be round and yellow, right? Looks like the dominant one here. So my question to you is, if you have these dogs and you breed them, you know they're true breed. Okay, and then the F1 generation is fluffy and long tail. Which trait is dominant? Now, do you guys not understand my question, or you don't understand how to answer it, or like you just don't want to answer? It's just really hard for me to tell. If you don't understand what's going on, ask me a question so I can help you out, right? Okay, so you understand there are two traits here. It's either fluffy or smooth. I didn't tell you which one is dominant, right? We don't know which one is going to cover up which one. And then the second trait is short tail versus long tail. Just like the question in the plan, is yellow, green, round, or wrinkle? These are the traits, okay? So when you breed them together, the offspring, the F1, is fluffy and long tail. Because of what I told you here, over here, right? If the parents are pure for character, in this case, fluffy, smooth, long tail or short tail, the F1 generation will always exhibit the dominant trait. Meaning, if I look at the F1, whatever the F1 looks like, that's the dominant trait. Right? This is dominant. The fluffy is dominant because the F1 is fluffy. Is short tail dominant or long tail dominant? Long tail is dominant because the F1 is long tail, right? So if you don't know which trait is dominant, you just breed the parents and then you look at the kids. The kids will always show the dominant trait if the parents are pure in those traits. Right? So in this case, this parent is gonna be like big F, and then small t. On the other hand, here it's gonna be small f, big T. And 100% of them is gonna be big F, big F, small f, sorry, and then big T, small t. So fluffy and long tail. Is that okay? All right, so keep this in mind. You're gonna see questions like that later on. Okay, we're gonna go back to our situation here. So just to quickly recap, the parent generation, they are They are true breed. Okay, so that's why it's big R, big Y, big Y. Like it says in the question, right? They're pure. Pure means true breed, pure breed, same meaning. So we created all these individuals in the F1 generations. They are 100% round, 100% yellow, 100% hybrid for R and for Y. So we're gonna cross two F1 individuals. Okay, we're gonna take two F1 individuals and we're gonna cross them. So that would be one plant like that, and then the other plant like that. They are the same because they are both taken from F1 generation, right? Now please write the gametes. Please write the gametes. Big R, big Y. Big R, small y. Small r, big Y. Small r, small y. Right? Is that okay? So what about the other oops, sorry. What about the other one? What about the other offspring? Well, the other parent, I mean, it's the same thing, right? It's the same thing. Like that. So 4 gametes. So now I have to set up my Punnett square, right? My table. Okay, and the table is gonna be pretty big. It's gonna be 4 by 4, like this. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can make this bigger. It doesn't look like it's gonna let me do it, but that's okay. All right, so I'm gonna put the gametes here. It's just neater when I type it, okay? So big R, big Y, big R, small y, small r, big Y. Do you understand? Right. These are the gametes. And I just put one of the gametes here, and then I'm gonna put the other gametes here, right? Okay, so I give you a moment to copy it down. Again, if you don't understand, just ask. It's not gonna get better, okay? Like if you don't understand, I have to explain it to you to help you understand more. Can you give me let me know when you finish setting up the chart, okay? And then we'll fill it in together. I just give me a thumbs up or type ready or something like that. Are we good to go? Or you guys still need a few more minutes? Okay, thank you. So we're gonna do the different combinations, right? So look here, this is big R, big Y. This is also big R, big Y. So if they come together, if these two gametes fertilizes each other, then we have big R, big R, big Y, big Y, right? How about the next box? If we take this gamete and then we combine with this gamete, what is it gonna be? Is that a typo? You wanna? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's right. So big R, and then big Y, small y, right? You just copy the letters. And then we go again. Big R, small r, big Y, big Y. Okay, so we're gonna keep doing this. Let me know if any of them is not making sense. And also let me know if you have no idea what I'm doing. Like if you don't understand how to come up with these letters, you have to let me know. Otherwise, you won't be able to do them on the quiz, right? I'm just combining them. Okay. Is there a way to turn off these spell check? Okay, there you go. Okay, so take a look. Let me know. Now for the next part, you need to have 4 colors, okay? Preferably like highlighters if you have. Okay, markers, crayons, whatever. You need 4 colors. We are going to find out the genotype. Sorry,
Excuse me, sir.
yes,
I didn't get for cell number row 2, column 2.
row 2, this
Column
one,
2.
this
Yep,
one.
yep.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Good one. Good thing you are paying attention and caught my mistake. Is that right now? Yeah, this is big R and big
Thank
R.
you.
Yeah, thank you. No, thank you. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna look at the phenotype now. Ignore. Okay, phenotype now. Okay. We're gonna look for pure. Sorry. Round. We're looking for round and yellow. Round and yellow. These are both dominant traits, right? So we're looking for like dominant and dominant. Okay. So I'm gonna take out my highlighter and then I'm gonna find all the round and all the yellow. That's this one, right? That's round and yellow. If it has a big R and a big Y, it's round and yellow. Round and yellow, round and yellow. Okay. How many can you find? I'll give you a moment. Find all the round and yellow offspring. How many? Give me a number.
8.
8. All right. 5 more. Okay. So that's 9, right? Is that what you mean? So look, this one is round and yellow, round and yellow, round and yellow. Okay. This one too. And this one. I think those are all of it. Okay. So for round and yellow, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 out of 16. 9 out of 16. Okay. It's not surprising that a majority of it is going to be round and yellow because these are both dominant traits, right? Both dominant traits. Okay, so let's look for another one. Let's go with round and green. Okay, so this is dominant and recessive. Round and green. Okay, so there is a round and green. How many in total? How many round and green in total? Right, there is another one. Round and green. Green is little y, right? There is another green. That's all. Right? So 3 out of 16. Next, we're going to do wrinkle, wrinkled, and yellow. Recessive and dominant. All right. So there's wrinkle and yellow, wrinkle yellow, wrinkle yellow. Three out of 16. And the last one is wrinkled, wrinkled, and green. This is really rare because it's recessive and recessive, right? It's very rare. We only have one of them. 1 out of 16. It makes sense to be rare because the recessives are always covered up by the dominant trait. Okay, so I want you to remember this ratio, 9, 3, 3, 1. It will save you quite a bit of time for some of the questions you will see on the quiz. All right. Let's go to the PowerPoint. Here is a question. I'll copy it over so it's like all in the notes, and then I'll post the notes. I just gotta make them smaller. There we go. All right. So, you know what? Let's make them even smaller. It's too big. I'll read it to you, and then I will tell you how to do it. In bees, normal wings are dominant to vestigial wings. You don't even have to understand what it means. Okay, you just have to know, oh, okay, there are two kinds of wings, normal and then like not normal. Okay, vestigial means like tiny. That's what it means. Okay, but like you don't need to know that, right? In order to do the question, you don't necessarily have to know what it means. That's what I'm trying to say. Deep pollen sacs are dominant over shallow pollen sacs. So what are the two characters? Right, it's no longer round, wrinkle, yellow, or green, right? In this case, we're talking about bees. So we have wings and we have sacs, the pollen sacs. And we got to figure out which one is dominant and which one is recessive. It's great when the question tells you, right? It says that, you know, normal are dominant over vestigial. So I can use capital W here for normal and small w for vestigial. Okay, choose letter that looks different. I mean, like when you write it, when you do your work, right? Like, don't be like messy, right? Otherwise, like when you write your W like that, sometimes you forget which one is big, which one is small, right? Like make an effort to, for them to be different. Okay. And then for the sacs, the pollen sacs, we got the deep ones and then we got the shallow one. Okay, so up to you what you want to use. You can use like big D for deep, and then small d for shallow. Okay. So we write this down first so that we're not going to be confused about what tray we're trying to keep track of. All right, so let's see what are the parents. So we got two bees here. We have the male bee with vestigial wings and shallow pollen sac. And then we have the other bee that is homozygous, normal wings, and heterozygous, deep pollen sac. So let's write it down. Male bee. Okay. Vestigial wings has to be little w, little w. Shallow pollen sac has to be small d, small d. That's the male bee. Can someone please tell me what is the genotype for the female bee? Homozygous normal wings, heterozygous deep sacs. Okay, thank you. But it's a heterozygous sex though. The pollen sac has heterozygous. What does heterozygous mean? Same or different? Yeah, that's better. Thank you. So homozygous normal, that's big W, big W. And then heterozygous deep, big D, small d. Okay? They're gonna mate and have some baby bees. So that's the parent, P generation. Let's write the gametes. Okay. For this one is little w and little d, and that's all. Every other combination creates the same thing. It's always little d, little w, little d. Okay, I'm just gonna put a bar to separate it. Over here, we have big W, big D, and big W, small d. That's all. There are no other combinations. You can try with the other W, but it would just be the same. Big W, big D, we have it already. We don't need to write it twice. Big W, small d, we have that as well. So, because there's only one gamete here and two gametes here, our Punnett square, our table, is going to be just 1 by 2. Right? It's not always 4 by 4 like this, right? Sometimes it's okay to do a smaller table. All right, so let's do that. Okay, so table. So I'll put the male B here. It doesn't really matter. Male, female, interchangeable on the table. So this is WD, and then these goes here. Okay. So just like a 1 by 2 table. So let's combine them together. Hopefully you understand that. And if not, ask. The question asks for genotype as well as phenotype. So for genotype is 50% big W small w, big D small d, one out of the two boxes, right? And then 50% big W small d small d. And then phenotype. What is that gonna look like? You can do it. Let me know. What kind of wings and what kind of pollen sacs? What kind of wings is this? Is it normal or not, or vestigial? Well, we can go back to our chart, right? Big W means normal. Right? So normal wings and big D is deep sacs. And then the other 50% also normal wings, but shallow. Are we okay? I don't know. It's really hard for me to tell. I keep on saying this, but it's true. Like, because I can't see you guys, and I can't tell your expression. So please ask me. Can I explain which part again? The gamete part or like just the final answer part? The first part, like up here? Okay. So do you understand this part here? Where I wrote down the features? Do you understand like all these letters and where they came from and how I got that? Okay, great. So then here, right, the B, right, the male B. The male B, the description for the male B is right here. Right, the male B is right here. It says the male B has vestigial wings. Since vestigial wing is a recessive trait, it has to be little w. There are no other possibility. As soon as you have a big W in it, it becomes normal wings, right? So the B has vestigial wings, it has to be little w. Same thing. Shallow pollen sac. That's a recessive trait, which means it has to be little d. There are no other possibility. That's how I came up with the genotype for the male B. For the female B, right? Female B, it says homozygous normal. Homozygous, homo means pure, right? So that's why it's big W, right? It's not heterozygous where it will be big W and small w. It's not that because the question says it's homozygous. But then for the pollen sac, it's heterozygous. It's different. That's why it's big D and small d. So far, okay? And anyone can chime in. Anyone can like ask follow-up questions. Okay, so once we figure this out, then we do the gametes, right? Just like the side note that we did earlier, we just see different combinations. Small w, small d. Okay, and then I tried other combination, but it's still small w, small d. They are all small w, small d, right? That's why we only have one gamete. And that's why when we put it on the table, we only have one row. We don't have to put it 4 times because it's just the same thing, right? Similarly, over here, we try the different combinations. Okay, big W, big D, big W, small d, and then again, it's repeated. So there are only 2 gametes. So we put them in the table, and we just combine them. Does that answer your question? I miss. Oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. So that's it. Anyone else? Okay, so let's do another question here. All right. So I'll read it to you. Assume curly hair, big C, is dominant to straight hair, small c. So one of the character is hair. We have dominant and recessive, and the question already created the variables for us, even better. Big C is curly, small c is straight. Albinism is a condition in which cells which normally produces pigment does not do so. A person with this condition is called an albino. The allele for skin albinism, so this is for skin, is little n, which is recessive to normal allele. So big N for normal skin, small n for albinism. Okay. Now, this question is very long. It says, a woman with curly hair and albinism and a man with straight hair and normal skin pigment have a child that has straight hair and is an albino. I'm just gonna change it to a daughter, okay? You will see why. So sometimes when we have to represent like a family, we want to use like a family tree. Okay? Family tree. Okay? It's in genetics it's called a pedigree. Pedigree. Square is male, circle is female. Okay. And then this is to have kids. Okay. Sideway means to usually it means to marry, okay, or like to have a kid. And then this is gonna like have a kid for the next generation. Okay. So in this situation, we have the woman. Right? So woman, circle, and the man, and they're gonna have a daughter. They're gonna have a daughter, right? So circle. What's up with the woman? The woman has curly hair. Curly hair. So for the woman, I know she has a big C. But at this point, I don't know if she's big C, or big C, small c, right? Curly hair could be homozygous or heterozygous. We don't know. So I'm going to leave it blank. And then for the skin is albinism. Albinism is recessive. That must be little n, little n. The man, the father, has straight hair. Straight hair is recessive, must be little c, little c. He has normal skin pigment, so that's big N and something. Again, we don't know if he's big N or big N, small n. We have to, investigate a little bit. All right, so let's take a look at the daughter. Straight hair and albino. Straight hair is little c, little c. Albino, little n. Now we investigate a little bit. Okay. One of the C's must have came from dad, right? So where did the other C came from? Well, the other parent. That's how I know the mother is heterozygous for the C. Same argument here. One of the N's has to come from the mother, right? Which means the other N has to come from the dad. And that's how we figure out the genotype of the parents. Okay. All right, there are a couple of questions here that I want to go through with you in the concept check. Wait, did I miss a question? Nope, I did not. So here's a concept check question. How many unique gametes could be produced through independent assortment by someone with this genotype? Okay. Now we're not gonna do this, thing that we did before, because that's like too many combinations. Like you can't handle. I cannot handle that mentally. All right. So what we do instead is we look at each allele individually. Okay? So like for allele A, how many different possibilities? Well, it's heterozygous, so the person can either pass on a big A or a small a. Two combinations. For B, same thing. Big B or small b. Two combinations. For C, one combination. Because it's big C, right? You either pass on the big C or you pass on the big C. You don't have a choice. It's just one. You just have one version of the gene. Here, big D, small d, that's two different combinations. And big E is just one. And we multiply all of them together. And that's 8 different types of gametes. Okay. For the ones that are homozygous, is not going to matter. Homozygous, you're not going to create different gametes. So 8 different combinations here. Let's take a look at the next question. What about this one? How many different combinations? In this case, you multiply, you don't add, okay? You multiply. To find the total number of combinations, I have to multiply the choices. Remember when we did the codon, it was like 4 times 4 times 4 times 4? It's always multiplication, okay? So two choices, as long as they're heterozygous, is 2 choices. And we multiply all of them together. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. That's 32. Okay? That's it. Now, one more question. Nope, sorry, not one more question. Here's another question. So you got to pay attention to this stuff, okay? It's like not easy. I mean, hopefully you have been paying attention the whole time, but pay extra attention for here. Okay, so consider the cross between this thing and this thing. Now it's 3 different trades, right? Dihybrid cross is 2 different trades. This is 3 different trades. What is the probability of producing something like this? Help me out. How many different gametes can be produced by this one? How many gametes? How many gametes? 8, right? Yeah, 8 gametes. This one also 8 gametes, right? Which means it's crazy to do the table. The table will be 8 by 8, which is like 64 different combinations, right? We don't have time for that on the test, right? So what do we do instead? Well, we can actually look at the trade one by one. Okay. So just a little bit for those of you, yes, Muzade, you got the right answer. But yes, I mean the second one. The second one is correct, yeah. But I want to give you guys a little quick lesson on probability. Okay. So this is a dice. I think they look like that. How many different outcomes for rolling a dice?
6.
That's right. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's a coin. If you flip a coin, 2 outcomes, right? Heads or tails. Okay. So if I ask you for probability of a 5 and a head. Okay, a 5 and a head. So this is what you do. It's not difficult. Okay, you just have to listen to me. You'll get it. What's the chance of getting 5 when you roll a dice? What's the probability?
1/6.
1 out of 6, right? Because out of the 6 outcomes, only one of them is a 5, right? What's the chance of getting a head when you flip a coin?
1/2.
1/2, right? If you want to know the probability of different things happening at the same time, you just multiply the probabilities together. So 1/6 times 1/2, that's 1/12. Okay, let me repeat that one more time. If you have a bunch of independent events, independent means the outcome of one is not going to affect the other one, right? When you roll a dice, it has no effect on the outcome of flipping a coin, right? When that happens, in a situation like that, if you want to know the probability of 2 things happening at the same time, you just find the probability of one, multiply by the probability of another. It's always multiplication. Okay. So back to here. We have 3 alleles, right? 3 genes, A, B, C. According to Mendel's law, the law of independent assortment, this is no different than flipping a coin 3 times. One's for the A, one for the B, one's for the C, right? What you get for the A has no effect on what you get on the B and has no effect on what you get for the C. That means if I want to figure out the probability of getting this, I can do it with 3 different tables. Okay, so here for A, it is big A, small a, and big A, small a. This goes back to the very simple Punnett square that we did earlier in the week, right? So if you fill it out, okay, what's the probability of getting big A, according to the table? Big A is 1/4. That's right. So big A is 1/4. Now, I am not going to do the other 2 table, but I hope you see it is the same. I just changed all the A's to B's, right? So for big B is also a quarter. For big C is also a quarter, right? So what's the probability of all these things happening at the same time? Quarter times quarter times quarter, which is 1/64. Okay. All right. The next question is like very intense. We should take a break. We should take a quick break, and when we return, we're gonna do this thing. All right. I mean, I can leave it here for those of you who don't need a break. You can try to figure it out. But yeah, let's take 5. I'll come back at 9:38, and we'll continue. Okay, let me show you how to do this if you see it on the quiz. Right? Like, not only do you have to know how to do it, right? You have to do it in the right way so you don't waste time, right? So let's read it. True breeding. Okay, true breeding, true breed, purebred, homozygous, they all mean the same thing. So we have 2 plants that are purebred. One parent it has red and axial flowers, and the other has white and terminal flower. So we can write down the traits, color, and flower position. I keep on saying you don't really have to know what it really means. Like, who cares what axial means and what terminal means? Okay, like they are just 2 different traits, right? You don't have to necessarily know what they mean to do the question. But if you must know, right? This is like the plan. Terminal means the flowers are at the end. Okay. Axial means it is going to be like just in the center here. Okay, that's the difference. Again, it doesn't really matter. Dominant and recessive. Okay. So I know we have colors. We have red and white, and we have axial and terminal. But so far, I can't tell which one is dominant, which one is recessive, right? But here is the clue. All F1 individuals have red and axial flower. That's an important clue. Remember that dog example I was telling you about? Right? If the parents are true breeding, all the F1 generation is going to have the dominant trait. So the fact that they tell you all F1 is red and axial means red is dominant. Okay, and white is not. And axial is dominant. And recessive would be the terminal. That's the first thing you have to figure out in a question like this. And it's not hard. You just have to realize, oh, parents are true breeding, then whatever the F1 looks like, those are going to be the dominant. All right. So now here it says all of them would have to be like big R, big A, small a, basically, right? That's F1. If 1,000 F2 offsprings results from cross of 2 F1 individuals, how many of them is going to be red and terminal? Okay, red and terminal. Well, you remember earlier today, if F1 looks like this, there are 4 gametes, and it's the 4x4 table, right? With 16 possibilities. But I want you to remember the ratio, the 9 to 3 to 3 to 1, right? This is for dominant, the most common phenotype. This is for dominant, recessive, dominant, and then recessive. Okay. So what does the question want? The question want red, which is dominant, and terminal. So what's the ratio for red and terminal? You don't even have to do a table. You just have to remember the 9, 3, 3, 1. What's the ratio? What's the fraction, I should say? What's the fraction for red and terminal? Is it 9/16, 3/16, or 1/16? We are looking for red, which is dominant, Terminal, which is recessive. So dominant recessive is 3. 3 out of 16 is correct. Okay. So they produce 1,000 individuals. So we take 1,000 times 3 over 16. That's going to be the answer. Right? Plug that into the calculator. 1,000 times 3 divided by 16. That is 187.5. Let's see what were the choices. Right. Yeah, let me just copy the choices over. Okay. So the answer is E. I mean, it's not exactly 187.5, right? But remember, these are probabilities, right? It's not going to be exact. For example, if you flip a coin 10 times, are you going to get exactly 5 heads and 5 tails? No, right? Like it's going to be, it might not even be close because like 10 is not a big sample size, right? So for the same reason, like 1,000 is not, I mean, it's a lot, but it's not, a big enough sample size for the numbers to be exact. Okay, so you just round it and find the closest one. Okay, so a question like this should take you no more than 1 minute on the test. Okay, if they ask you for like, red and axial, you should be like, oh, okay, red and axial. This is dominant, right? Dominant is 9 over 16, so 9 over 16 times 1,000, right? That's all you have to know, right? To figure out what trait is dominant, what trait is recessive, and then to realize it is 9331, and then be done with it. Okay. All right, we gotta move on. Remember, the study guide has a lot of practice questions, right? You have to do them. I post the answer already. The answer is like full solutions. You need to work through them to get a better sense of what's going on. All right, so here is another concept that we have to learn today. I don't think we can finish the lesson, but that's okay. We're gonna finish it on Monday. So everything we talk about so far is dominant versus recessive. Okay? And if it's like big R, small r, it's gonna turn out to be red, right? But that's not always the case. We have other types of interactions between alleles that creates different results. One of them is called incomplete dominance, and then the other is called codominance. Okay, actually, I'm just gonna write them in the notes over here. So what is incomplete dominance? Incomplete dominance. Like this is a situation where the heterozygous condition, genotype, produces a phenotype, the appearance, that is an intermediate of the homozygous phenotypes, sorry. Now, what does that mean? So let's say big R is red flower, and little r is white flower. These are the homozygous phenotype, right? What they look like. That's what phenotype means. Phenotype is the appearance, right? So what about big R, small r? Well, in the context of if the interaction is incomplete dominance, it's not going to be red and it's not going to be white. It is going to be an intermediate of red and white. So when you mix red and white together, you get pink. Okay. So anytime you see incomplete dominance in a question, you don't have just two phenotypes, you have three. Okay, the homozygous one looks different, and then there is like a middle one. Okay, then we have codominance. Codominance. Okay, where the heterozygous genotype expresses both alleles in the phenotype. So big R is red flower. Small r is white flower. Okay. So for codominance, it's not gonna be somewhere in between. You will see both. So like red flower with white spots, maybe. Or the other way around, doesn't really matter. You see both. Right. So for incomplete dominance is a mix. For codominance, both shows up. I will give you an example, and I want you to tell me whether it's incomplete dominance or codominance. All right. We have a cat with long tail and a cat with no tail. They have some baby kittens and they have short tail. Is that incomplete dominance or codominance? What do you think? Incomplete dominance or codominance?
Incomplete.
That's right. No tail, long tail, somewhere in between the short tail. How about this one? A person with type A blood have kids with a person with type B blood. And the kids turns out to be type AB blood. Is that incomplete dominance or codominance?
Excuse me, could you one more time tell?
Sure. A person with type A blood have kids with someone with type B blood, and the kids have type AB blood. Do you think this is incomplete dominance or is it codominance?
Codominance?
That's correct. Thank you. Codominance. Because it's not A, it's not B, it's not somewhere in between. It's both A and B at the same time. Okay? That's all. Let's do some questions. So we have some flowers called the snapdragons. Again, it doesn't matter what they are. Where red is incompletely dominant over white. And then the heterozygous conditions produces pink. What will be the result of crossing two pink flowers? Okay, so two pink. Pink is the heterozygous condition, right? That's what the question says. So two pink flowers. Right? That's like big R, small r, crossed big R, small r. Okay, so we will do the regular Punnett square. What's the result? 25% big R, 50% big R, small r, 25% small r. 25% red, 50% pink, 25% white. Right? Before, right, before we learned these things, we used to group these together, right? And say 75% red, right? But that's only for dominant and recessive relationship. This is not that. Okay? This is two different things because of the incomplete dominance. Do we have any questions? Okay. Here's another one. A red bull crossed with a white cow produces a roan calf. The roan has intermingled white and red hair. That means it's like red and white at the same time. If a roan bull is crossed with a white cow, what percentage of calves would be roan? Okay, so we can go big R. Big R is red. Big R, small r is roan. That's what the question says. And little r is white. Okay, it's kind of like humans, right? Like there's no such thing as gray hair. Gray hair is intermingled black and white, right? So here, intermingled red and white, they call it roan. So we have a roan bull crossed with a white cow. Roan bull and a white cow. So we can do our Punnett square. You should be quite familiar with these type of tables now. So what percent of the calves would be roan? You would expect half of them to be roan. Okay. All right, the last thing we're gonna learn is something called sex linked. I think that's the last thing we can learn today. And then we'll wrap it up next time. Sex linked conditions, I guess, are alleles which are found on X or Y chromosome. If it's carried on the X chromosome, then it's X-linked. If it's carried on the Y chromosome, then it's Y-linked. Okay. If it's Y-linked, only males can have the condition, right? Like baldness. If it's X-linked, who's more likely to get it? If we have an X-linked recessive condition, who's more likely to get it? Male or female?
Female?
Did you say female?
Yeah.
Yeah.
X-linked?
Yeah, X-linked recessive. X-linked recessive. Who's more likely to get it? Male or female? Actually is guys, okay? Males are more likely to get it because males only have one X, right? We're XY. So if you inherit the mutated X, you automatically have the disease. or conditions, right? But for female, because they're XX, they need 2 copies of the mutated version to have the condition, right? So they kind of have like a protective copy. If it's X-linked dominant, then that's a different story, right? Because just 1 copy is able to show for the disease to show up, right? Okay, and female, they have like 2 X's. They're more likely to get it, higher chance of getting it because they have 2 of such. In any case, what are some examples? Okay, so these are X-linked recessive condition. Okay, colored blindness. Okay? Color blindness. That's an X-linked recessive condition. So let's take a look at how to represent these. So a circle, this would be a normal vision, female, and she is XX. Okay, XX. XXC, right, we shaded half. We shaded half of it. This is also a normal vision female, but we call her a carrier. A carrier is a person who has the allele but does not show it, right? Because the normal X is covering it, right? Okay, so XC is the colorblind allele. Can you tell if someone is a carrier just by looking at them? If a female has normal vision, can you tell if they are a carrier or not? No, you cannot. Okay, you can't tell. They could be XX or XXC. You don't know. Okay? There's no physical difference. Okay, what is this? This would be a XY, a normal vision, male. And then this one is colorblind. Colorblind male. Males cannot be carrier. You have the disease X, you're gonna have the condition. Okay, there's no hiding it because we don't have an extra X to cover it up, right? So that's that. Any question about these symbols? You might need them later on. Okay. Let's do a example here. Color blindness. Find the ratio for F1 generation. So let's call them A, B, C, D. Now let's do A. A, we have a carrier female and a normal as in like normal vision male. So carrier female is XXC. If you don't put the C, then it's like normal for both allele, right? But she's a carrier, so one of them is going to have the colorblind allele on it. Cross with a normal male, normal vision male. We are going to do the Punnett square. So like XXC, XY. So when you combine these, is XX. When you combine these, it is XY. Same thing here, XXC, XCY. Okay. When we answer these questions, we tend to separate the male from the female, just to make it easier. So these are the female. Okay, and then these are the males. All right. So what can you say about the daughters? Any of the daughters gonna have color blindness? Right. XX is normal vision. XXC also normal vision. All daughters will have normal vision. Okay. But 50% are carrier. Right? Sons. Right? What's going to happen to the sun? 50%, half of the sun will be normal vision. The other 50% is going to have color blindness. Okay. Oh, example 8 and 9 are the same thing. It doesn't matter. Okay, let's do one more together. B. Normal male with colorblind female. That's normal male. Colorblind female. Colorblind female. We're going to do the Punnett square. Male. Female. XXC, XXC. XCY, XCY. Let's look at the boys. Okay, hold on. I probably should turn off the video. It's getting very laggy here. All right, let's see. So for the boys and for the girls. Okay. What can you say about the girls, the daughters? What's going to happen to the daughters? Are they going to have color blindness or no color blindness? That's right. All are carriers. Okay. Normal vision. Sons. It's too bad. All are colorblind. Okay. That's all. You could try C and D yourself. You know, if you're not sure, you can send me an email. But what's really important is for you to go through the study guide. Okay, there are a lot of questions in the study guides. The dihybrid cross, incomplete codominance, we just learned that today. And then there are some sex-linked conditions as well. So if you have for a challenge, there is one right here. I just need to teach you the pedigree next time. And that would be it. Okay, no quiz next week. The quiz is not until week 13. We have to do this thing as well. This is biotechnology. Okay, I don't know if I told you before, but biotechnology is the hardest lesson of the whole course. All right, so please make sure you print out the stuff and learn it. Okay, so the quiz is I'll see how far we go, right? Like if next week we don't finish the biotechnology, I am flexible with the quiz day. I can move it to Thursday, but let's just, mentally keep it on Tuesday for now. And that's going to be lecture 8 and 9. And hopefully we're going to be able to, do a review before the final test. Okay, this is week 11, right? So just 3 more weeks to go. Okay, that's it for now. Thank you for coming, and enjoy the rest of your week. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.